Okay, congratulations. So you have survived the previous tasks of this assessment. Okay, now let's move on to the next one, which is basically about still task 2. This one here is about linear regression or trend line projection. Let's discuss that. Look, the minute we hear this statistical terms, we may feel a bit, shocked with that, or surprised, or frightened, kind of daunting for some of us, including me. But let's have a look at the steps. So we should be able to complete this task using the computer. Okay. Okay, so task 2B requires us to perform linear regression to generate the linear regression equation and also forecast based on the linear regression equation. Okay. Okay, what is the least squares linear regression? Okay, let's step back a little bit to understand what is the purpose of the linear regression. Now, if we have two variables, okay, remember, two variables. We are not using multi-variables in here. We are not doing multi-variables analysis or multivariate analysis because it is beyond scope. Okay? Let's say x and y. They are related one to each other. Then it may be possible to predict the value of one variable, in this instance y, variable y, by using the variable of the other, which is basically x. In other words, those who like mathematical symbols, y is actually the dependent variable, the one that we are trying to forecast from x, okay, or and x is the independent variable, the variable that we use to forecast y. Therefore, we are going to use the linear regression to predict the value of y using the independent variable x. In other words, our assessment task 2B2 requires us to predict the sales. Okay, and please note we normally label it as y hat, not only y. So the symbol that we use is normally y hat. There you go. That shows you the y hat. Okay, y with that cap in here, so that's the hat. Okay. The formula to perform the linear regression is normally shown like the one on the slide here. Y hat, or the predicted value of y, equals to a plus bx, where a is the intercept term or constant, and b is the slope of the line. So think about linear line. Okay, we have constants. Okay, so they are the slope. B is the slope of the line. Okay, and this slide also shows you the how do we calculate A and B, or the intercept and slope. Okay, so that's the formula to calculate A and B. Okay, statistically. Okay. Okay, let's say we have a set of data here. We are trying to predict the property style for year 11 to 13 using linear regression or trend line projection. Okay, so we have the data from year 2005 to 2014. Therefore, this is basically year 1 to year 10. Please note, from statistics perspective, these 2005, 2014, they are not numbers, they are the name of the year, okay? And we don't have the data for 2014 years. Okay, the data that we have is basically 10 years worth of data. So they are the 10 years data that we have, not 2014 years, okay? And that's the basically showing us the sales for each year. Okay, let's do the linear regression. Oops, we may be nervous if we use the formula that we discussed before. So that's the formula that we can use to perform the linear regression. Okay, well, we may be nervous with that because of lots of symbols that we are not familiar with. Okay, right, now let's look at the alternative way to do it. What we can do is we can use Microsoft Excel. Okay, in terms of using Microsoft Excel, there are two ways we can do it. First, we can download the data analysis toolpack. That's the link for you to download the data analysis toolpack that will give you the statistical tools that you want to use on your machine. Okay, or with that data analysis toolpack, we can perform trendline projection. Okay, and please also note Mac users who do not have Office or Mac you can also perform the trendline projection with similar steps using numbers. Okay, all right. Let's discuss how to perform it using the trendline projection. Okay, the first step is we need to create line chart, as the name suggests, linear regression. So we need to create the line chart. Okay, click the link below if you need help creating charts. Highly recommend it that that you familiarize yourself with charts in Excel. That helps you a lot in your presentation. Remember, aside from understanding the technical marketing knowledge and skills, we also need to be able to communicate to the audience. Second step is basically right-click the line, revenue line, to show the comments. So you'll get options or comments, and select the add trend line. Select add trend lines. Okay, select add trend line in the trend line options. Make sure linear is ticked. Since we are forecasting 3 periods ahead or 3 years ahead, we need to put 3 in forward. Okay, and step 4, tick the display equation on chart that will show the formula of predicted Y value. And step 5, click close and calculate the forecast using the Y formula. Now, by the way, these steps can also be found in your learning materials. Okay, let's have a look at the first one. Step 1, create the chart. Line chart like this one. If you need to brush up your Microsoft Excel skills, Google Microsoft Excel training. You will be able to find free training from Office, from Microsoft, for you to brush up your Office skills, such as Word, Excel, and also PowerPoint. Okay. All right. Then, after we get the trend, after we get the line like this one here, right click on the line, on the revenue line, or the red line here, that will show commands or options. Select the add trend line. Okay, select add trend line. Okay, since we are forecasting 3 periods ahead, we need to put 3 in forward, then tick display equation. Okay, now that's the one that that's the one that you will see. Right-click the line revenue to show commands, select the trend line, and since we are forecasting the 3 periods ahead, we need to put 3 in here. See this one, 3, and then tick the display equation on chart. Now this one here is important. We need this equation to forecast. Okay. Now before I forget, make sure that that linear is ticked, because we are using linear regression in this forecasting method. Okay, we are not using the other methods. Okay, by default, Excel always tick that, but just make sure it is ticked. Okay, step 3, click close and calculate the trend, the forecast using Y formula. So when you click close, you'll get this. Okay, you'll get this displayed on your spreadsheet. Okay, now we've got the formula or equation for task 2B1 to forecast sales for the next 3 periods. Okay, so you can calculate it. Okay, how do we calculate it? We need to, if you look at the equation, you have X in here. That's the one that you're going to replace with 11, 12, and 13 to forecast year 2015, 2016, and 2017. Okay. Please also bear in mind that we are not replacing X with 2015, 2016, 2017, because the data that we have only include 10 years, right? Not 2014 years as mentioned to you before. For instance, we don't have the data for 1945, for instance, okay? So for 2015 or year 11, we will get, look at that formula, y equals to, or y hat equals to 55.576 multiplied by 11 plus 1303.3. So if I'm not using alcoholic calculator, I should get that, okay? Now, can you do the forecast for year 2016 and 2017 or year 12 and year 13, okay? So for year 11, that's what we got. Year 12 and year 13, roughly that's what you got. Okay, you may have a slightly different numbers because of the roundup. That is fine. Okay, but make sure that you got the this correct. Right, now for Mac users, you can also use Mac numbers to perform trendline projection, okay? Similar steps. The first step is to create a line chart for the revenue you want to forecast, okay? Click that. Now, your numbers will show you some, these types like charts, axis, series, and arrange, okay? So we do that, okay? We create the line chart first, okay? And again, same thing. Step 2, click the revenue line. You'll find dots appear like this one here, okay? And step 3, click the trend line. If you look at that series and the series tab, you'll find trend line, okay? And by default, you'll find it linear again, but please make sure it is linear, okay? And again, show the equation. Click show if equation. You'll find the equation here appearing in here, okay? So hopefully, again, we can shout that's easy. Now, I happen to have the data in spreadsheet. Let's have a look at the data. Okay, that's the data that we just discussed before. Okay, first step, we create the line chart. Okay. Okay. Similar tricks that we discussed before. Okay, line chart. Then we select the data. Right, and I'm going to select the values for the data here. Okay, there you go, we got the data already. Okay, now we need to change that into year because they are not numbers. Okay, there you go, we got that. Now the next thing that we need to do is to add the trend line. Okay, left click, so you'll see here the dots appear in here. Okay, right click, see the comments appearing in here, and we can select a trend line. Make sure that it is linear is selected, and forward, since we are forecasting 3 periods ahead, so we are forecasting, so we changed forward into 3. Now your annual sales forecast, if you refer to your assessment, requires you to forecast the next 6 periods. The data that you have is January to June, or 6 periods. You need to forecast July to December, or 6 periods. So therefore, you need to change that into 6. Okay? Now this one here is important. Display equation on chart. Tick that. There you go. You get the equation appear in here. Okay? Oops. You get the equation appears in here. Okay. Now, let's copy and paste. Oh, I can't copy and paste. Let's retype the equation here. So that will remind us to the equation 1301.3. Okay. Okay, so we need to forecast year 11, year 12, and year 13. Okay, remember they are ones that we need to forecast 3 years ahead. Okay, 3 years ahead. Okay, let's forecast year 11. Year 11. Okay, that means X will become 11. Okay, we need to replace X, that fellow here, to, I'll just put in bolts, 11. Okay, just insert one line to make it clear. Okay, there you go. That's one that we need to show. Okay, so in other words, we this is the one that we. If you prefer to use your Excel, you can also type them. Okay, so this is the one that we can type. that we will type 1301. You can get your Excel to calculate it, okay? So if we use Excel, types equal sign, that means we are asking, we are telling Excel we are going to type numbers and we are going to ask Excel to calculate the numbers for us. Right, let's type it together. 55.576 multiplied by 11 because we are forecasting year 11 plus 1301.3. There you go. That's our forecast for year 11. Okay. What about for year 12? That one's even easier. Okay. That one is even easier. Okay. You can just copy that. Okay. Paste. Okay. And change 11 in here to 12. There you go. You got that. Okay. Now, why don't you perform year 13 yourself? Okay. We've got that already. I've shown you the answer already. Okay. All right. So hopefully that is easy. So we can shout, yes, that's easy, and we can move on to the next one. Okay. Remember, as a reminder, in terms of industry forecasts, you need to forecast for the next 3 periods or years. In doing so, please show the equation, your trend line equation or linear regression equation, and also the forecast. And the next thing is the sales forecast for each brand. Okay, so you need to forecast July, August, September, October, November, December, or period 7, 8, 9, 10 until 12, and add them all. Right after we get the forecast for July, August, September, October, November, December, we add them all to the actual sales of January to June to get the annual sales forecast. Okay, again, please, when you do your forecast, please show your equation. And yeah, look, as mentioned to you before, I would strongly recommend you to copy and paste the data from the assessment brief. So it will be easier for you to manipulate the data and also to perform the statistical analysis. Okay.